Okay, good morning all of you. We'll start the session now. Okay, so in the previous classes we have been discussing about what is transaction, what are the basic operations involved in a transaction, what is a read item, what is write item. So those ideas, those concepts we have discussed in the previous class. So now we'll start with the concurrency. What do you mean by concurrency? Then what do you mean by concurrency control? Why the concurrency control is required? Concurrency, as you know, when two or more events are occurring at the same time or in the simultaneous time, then you can call it as a concurrency. Okay, for example, if two or more transactions are trying to access the same data item from the database or from the table, and there is a high possibility that maybe a conflict might arise. Okay, so there is a possibility for conflict when two or more transactions are trying to access the same data item, right? So to avoid those conflicting accessibility, we try to implement concurrency control. Okay, we apply the concurrency control to avoid the conflicting, right? So that is the main reason. So here in the slide, there are three main reasons are listed out, main issues listed out in the slide related to the concurrency control. If we are not applying concurrency control in the database management system, and what are the problems might arise? Okay, so what are the problem that we face when we don't apply a proper concurrency control mechanism in the database access, okay, during the transaction. Here the first one, we already spoke about this one. The first one, last update problem or missing update problem, and second one, the temporary update or dirty read problem, and third one, incorrect summary problem. Okay, so the last update problem we already discussed. Now just we'll see a small example. So what is the last update problem? For example, if in this example, what we are trying to do is we are just transferring some number of seats from one flight to the other flight, and from the other flight we are trying to make a reservation, right? So that is what the example given here. Some values, numeric values are given. So x equal to 80 and n equal to 5, okay, something like that. So here there are two transactions involved here, T1 and T2, and T1 mainly for flight reservation, first flight, and then this T2 is for second flight reservation, right? So from this example, if x equal to 80, right? So maybe in the slide you can see in the slide itself, the transactions we are given, the x value will be 80 and the n value is assumed as 5, and if it is x minus n, that is 80 minus 5, you will be getting 75. Okay, then in the transaction T2, what it does, it reads the data item x80. Okay, so when the transaction T2 read the data item x, it reads as 80 as the original value instead of reading it as a 75. Okay, so you can see here the transaction T1, the x value is modified to 75. Okay, that is 80 minus 5 equal to 75. But whereas in the transaction T2, instead of getting x equal to 75, it is getting as 80, right? The original value. So why this is happening? Because after subtracting the x value in the transaction T1, the updation is not properly done. Okay, so the transaction T1 did not update the x value properly. So that is why the transaction T2, instead of getting the value x equal to 75, it is getting as 80. Okay, that is what we call as a lost update problem, right? So to make this particular transaction to be proper or to be proper control, we apply the concurrency control. And then in the transaction T1, after subtracting the value of x by 5, and this will be equal to 75, then what you have to do here, you have to write the item x. Okay, so if you say write the item x here, and obviously the 75 will be updated properly, and then while reading the x value by the transaction T2, just it is going to get the 75 instead of 80, right? So that is what the original value is missing here. Okay, so that is what we try to say here in the last update problem, right? So because this concurrency control is not applied properly. So that is the reason we are getting incorrect value. Okay, so that is what we say is the lost update problem. And so the next example is a temporary update problem. So the temporary update problem, it is actually we are applying the same type of example here also. But here the thing is, in the ACID properties, we are going to talk about ACID properties next. In the ACID property, A stands for atomicity. So generally, each and every transaction, when the transaction starts, the transaction should be completed with its full eternity, or otherwise should not be completed or should not be done at all. Okay, that means what? When your transaction is started in a databases, the transaction should be completed 100%. Otherwise, it should be cancelled totally, and the value should be reverted back to its original values. Okay, that's what we are going to see in the next few slides. The same, the property we apply here. Here initially we'll have the x equal to 80 and n equal to 5. So in the transaction T1, it subtracts the value x minus n equal to 75. And again, you can see here, write item x. Okay, that means the value is going to be modified or by the transaction T1. For any reason, if the transaction before writing it's the value 75 in the database, if it fails, what happened? Okay, so the 75 value will not be there. Instead, it should be bring back to its original value. Okay, so the value should be reverted back. But here the value is not reverted actually, right? So 80, that is x equal to 80, n equal to 5, then x minus n equal to 75, right? Once this is in the buffer, if the 75 value is in the buffer, it failed for some reason and it has to return to x equal to 80. Okay, that is what I told you. If the value, intermediate value or the modified value of x is not properly updated, or if it is in the buffer for any reason, if the transaction got failed, then the value should be cancelled and the x value should be reverted back to 80 as its original value. Okay, but this is not happening here. In this example, instead of getting x equal to 80, we are getting 75. Okay, so the updation is not properly done. That is one of the issue here we have in the transaction based on concurrency control. Okay, so I hope you will be able to, you're able to understand the topic, right? The main thing is, if the data is not properly updated, or if there is any failure in between the transaction, all the transaction should be cancelled and the value should be revert back to its original value. Okay, that is not done here in this example, right? So next to that, the other one is the other problem we face in the concurrency control, the incorrect summary problem. Okay, the incorrect summary problem, we already spoke about this aggregation. Suppose if you apply some addition, subtraction, or any other finding the average, right? So especially when you are performing any arithmetic operations with the multiple data which is accessed by more number of transactions, then there is a possibility of incorrect summary problem. Okay, if you don't apply the concurrency control. So here what happens in this example, the transaction T1, T3, there are two transactions are given here. The T3 transaction is starting initially and sum is initialized to 0 and read the item A. So it is assumed A equal to 20 and now the sum value become 20 here. Okay, then the transaction T1, what it does here, it reads the x value, x equal to 80, it is also assumed, and n is equal to 5, that is also assumed. Okay, so now x equal to x minus n, that is 80 minus 5, now the value will become 75, right? So now this transaction is doing fine, the value is done, so now you are getting 75. Now when the transaction T3 reads the read item x value, it is going to read the 75. Okay, it is just going to read the 75 value. Now since the sum is already with 20 value and now 75 plus 20, you'll be getting 95. Okay, so you are getting 95 here as a sum. So now the X value is actually modified to 75, and again we have one more value here, read item Y. So now assume Y equal to 60, it is given. Okay, so now now when the item, that is Y value is read, and it is again adding into the sum value. Okay, so here the original thing is what is the previous value here? 95 and then 60, that should be 155. But here what happens, again the T1, Y equal to 60 plus 5. Okay, so you can see here the Y value is 60 only, right? Then the X value is not updated properly. X value is not updated properly. So what happens here in the transaction T1? So instead of getting the 155 or instead of getting the X value, the Y value is as it is, that is 60. Okay, so 60 plus N 5. So totally the T1 will be 65, right? So here the aggregation, during the summation, the proper updated value is missing here. Okay, so that's why we are getting the incorrect value, right? Okay, so these are the three major issues we'll face at the time of concurrency without if you don't have the proper concurrency mechanism. Okay, so next one is we are going to talk about recovery. Why recovery is needed? Okay, so there are many possibilities a transaction can fail. Okay, during that at the time of transaction, there is a possibility of failure. So when the transaction is getting failure, then we need to recover it, right? So what are the different ways or different scenarios or different conditions a transaction got failed, right? So here a computer failure is a very general concept only. When the computer failure or any system crashes happens, and whatever the data that is present in the main memory will be eliminated or will be deleted, and if the other data, whatever the data is there permanently in the hard disk, that will be saved. Okay, so if any hardware failure, mostly when the system crashes, whatever the data that is present in the main memory will be lost, right? So a hardware or software error occurs in the computer system during transaction execution. There is a possibility of hardware failure as well as the software failure during the transaction. If the hardware crashes, the content of the computer's internal memory may be lost. Okay, so suddenly the RAM, the content or the transaction data which is available in the RAM will be deleted, right? And then the second recovery, why we need a recovery, a transaction or system error. So there is a possibility when the transaction is happening, there is a possibility that a system error or a software error might occur. Okay, so maybe you can see there are the bank softwares are there. We are using bank software in the bank as well as in the ATM, and then internet banking, right? Mobile banking. So we are using in different areas, different ways to interact with the bank, right? There is a possibility that maybe sometimes you would have come across some exceptions, or because of some error, you can see some error in the ATM machine also, right? Or in the software itself, right? So like if the errors are not properly handled in the software, you will be getting some exception, right? That will leads to the abrupt cancellation of the transaction, right? The some operation in the transaction may cause to fail, such as integer overflow or division by zero. So these are the software related errors, right? So integer overflow, maybe the proper memory is not properly assigned, then there is a possibility for integer overflow. Or division by zero, that is the another one. Suppose if you try to divide a number by zero, then that will also cause an exception. And transaction failure may also occur because of erroneous parameter values or because of a logical programming error. There are different possibilities. So yeah, suddenly an erroneous error might happen due to the software or hardware failure, or some passing some illegal or unwanted values, or sometimes some logical programming error. There are possibilities, right? In addition, the user may interrupt the transaction during its execution. Suppose if you started a transaction and suddenly you think you don't want to continue the transaction, then what will do? The user will forcefully cancel that particular transaction. Okay, in that also there is a possibility of error. Okay, the transaction may not be completed fully. And then what are the other areas or other ways we need a kind of recovery? The local errors or exception conditions detected by the transaction. Okay, so during the transaction time, sometimes a local error within the transaction itself, there is a possibility of error, and then some kind of exception. That's what we told you. The error or exception, more or less same. Here, certain conditions necessitate cancellation of the transaction. For example, a data for the transaction may not be found. For example, if you're trying to access a particular data or particular value from the database, if the data is not present in that particular database or in that particular table, and there is a possibility of error. Okay, so a condition such as insufficient account balance in a banking database may cause a transaction, such as a fund withdrawal from that account to be cancelled. Suppose if you have insufficient balance in your account, in your bank account, then if you are trying to get the value greater than or more than the balance that you have in your bank, then you'll be getting some kind of error, right? So you'll be getting some exception there. And the fourth one is concurrency control enforcement. So here the concurrency control, you are forcing a particular transaction to abort or cancel it, right? The concurrency control method may decide to abort the transaction to be restarted later because it violates serializability or because several transactions are in a state of deadlock. So suppose if more number of transactions are there and all the transactions are there or in deadlock condition, then to cancel or to make your system perfect, then at least you should forcefully cancel or cut short any particular at least one or two transaction in the group of transaction. Okay, so if any undesirable conditions happening, then you have to forcefully cancel the transaction. So these are the recoveries. These are the type of recoveries we have. And the other possibilities are due to disk failure. Disk failure also, there is a possibility a transaction got failed and we need to go for a recovery, right? Some disk blocks may lose the data because of read or write malfunction or because of a disk read and write head crash. So there are different possibilities. Yeah, disk can can damage, right? So maybe a disk surface or any other reason, if the disk got failed, then we need to go for a recovery, right? And then other general problems we have is physical problem and catastrophics. That is the first one, endless list of problems. So there are different ways, like there is natural calamities, fire accident, okay, earthquake, any disaster. Okay, if it happens suddenly, during that time also the recovery should be done, right? Okay. So the next one, in continuation with the previous topic, concurrency control and then recovery. So we are just going to discuss about transaction. What is a transaction and what do you mean by transaction state, right? So transaction, we already spoke about what is a transaction. So it is actually comprises of some logical read and write operation, that is logical access. So here a transaction is an atomic unit of work that is either completed in its entirety or not done at all. So that means this is a basic rule of a transaction. If you're starting any transaction, the transaction should be completed of its full entirety. That means it should be completed 100%. Whatever the transaction trying to do with the data, that should be done completely, and the data should be modified and updated completely in the database. Okay. So otherwise, if any problem occurs during the transaction, then all the transaction updation and all the manipulations of the data, everything should be cancelled, and whatever the data was there previously, that is before starting the transaction, all the values of each and every data item should be brought back to its original condition. Okay. For example, if your account balance is about 5,000 rupees and you are starting a transaction to withdraw something, and at the finishing point of time, if your transaction got cancelled, and maybe if you are trying to deposit some amount from your account, 5,000, and then you are trying to deposit some 1,000 rupees to another account, and all the transaction is almost over, your account balance is become 4,000, but finally the 1,000 rupees is not being credited to the other destination account, then the entire transaction should be cancelled, and instead of 4,000, the account balance should be maintained or changed to 5,000. Okay, so that's what we're trying to say here. So your transaction is an atomic unit. It is actually an atomic unit. Why we are calling it as an atomic unit? We'll elaborate in the properties, that is in the transaction properties, asset properties, and the other recovery purpose, and then system needs to keep track of when the transaction starts, terminates, and commits or aborts. So actually, whenever we are starting any transaction, we should keep track, or the system should keep track each and every aspect, each and every stage of your transaction. Okay. So here, to understand what are the different state or stages are there in a particular transaction, we have transaction states. Okay. So one is active state, partially committed state, failed state, and terminated state. So these are the important transaction states are there. Now, so in this diagram, you can see the transaction diagram illustrating the states of transaction execution. So here initially a transaction is started, that is begin transaction, and once the transaction got started, it becomes in the active state. Okay, it becomes active, and after once it becomes active, then the further data manipulations will be carried out, right? So that means that if it is in the active state, it performs read and write operation. Okay, there will be possibility of multiple read and multiple write for a particular transaction. It depends on how you are writing your query. And once you complete with the read and write operation, multiple read and write operation, and it actually goes to ending the transaction, the final stage of your transaction. Ending the transaction, it doesn't mean that everything is completed. Still, there is further process are there. Okay, your transaction is not yet completed 100%, but only the read and write operations are completed when you reach your end transaction. And when you reach your end transaction, then it is mean that it is partially committed. Your transaction is partially committed. Okay, that's what I told you. The work is not fully 100% done. Only you have done partially, right? So once this partially committed reaches, and only when you say commit command, or when you use commit in the transaction, then only it is going to be committed. Okay. So the next few slides we are going to talk about log files also. In the log file also, all the updations, even after committing, all the updations are done in the log file. Then only it is understood the particular transaction is 100% committed. Okay. Then only whatever the modifications to be done with the data will be carried out. Okay. So that will be modified permanently. So before that, it is considered as a partially committed, right? So you are here in the state, if you are saying commit command, and after the commit, it is going to be said as committed, right? And there are other possibilities during the active state. That means you are performing read and write operation, and if any problem with the read item or the write item, okay, if any particular data item is not present, or if the transaction is not able to get the particular data item, okay, if you're not able to read, or if you're not able to write the data item for that particular transaction, and maybe kind of deadlock, okay, for any reason, if the read and write operation is not properly done, then it may not end the transaction. Instead, it is just going to abort the transaction. Okay. So when it aborts the transaction, it reaches the failed state. Okay. Then even that's what we before we hear one more point here. Before we invoke or use your commit command, we said already it is partially committed. Even after the partial committed stage, suppose if any reason or any system failure or any other the reasons that we discussed already, for any reason, if the transaction got failed, then that leads to aborting the transaction. And once it is aborted, it reaches the failed state. Okay. So if it is a failed state and the next one is terminated, that means the particular transaction is going to be terminated permanently, right? So suppose if you want to start the transaction again, the same transaction, you have to restart it again, right? So once it reaches the termination, that means your transaction is completely finished without performing any modifications in the databases. Okay, so this was the state transaction diagram we have. Now we just will have the same explanation here. What is a begin transaction? What is a read and write end transaction? Okay, so in the transaction, the recovery manager is one of the utility you have in the database management system. So here, each and every transaction will be starting with your begin transaction, and then there will be multiple read and write operations, and then you'll be having your end transaction. Okay, in between multiple read and write operations, your queries, you'll be you have your begin transaction and end transaction. Okay. Right. So the other thing is recovery techniques, undo and redo. So during the transaction of any one particular state, what you can do, you can just go back to the previous one, and then you can undo the whatever the operations that is done by the transaction. You know what is the difference between undo and redo? Undo, suppose if you have done some small modification with the data, then if you perform undo, it is going to roll back the data to the previous state. Okay. Then redo, suppose if you are in one current state, and if you want to perform the again same operation which is already performed, then what you can do, you can redo it, right? For example, if x equal to initially 10, and then the next thing is x equal to 20, and suppose if you do from 20, if you undo from 20, it is going to reach 10. Okay, suppose if you are in 10 now, right? If you redo it, you will be going back to again 20. Okay, that is able to understand, right? So if it is x equal to 10 initially, and then the new value is 20, and if you are in 20, if you do undo, then you will go back to 10. So you are in 10 now. If you want to redo it, then again from 10 to it will go to 20, right? So certain transaction operation must be redone to ensure that all the operations of a committed transaction have been applied successfully to the database. So sometimes what we'll do, we during the transaction, due to some reasons, what we'll do, we'll apply undo as well as redo. And so now the other aspect related to the transaction is system log. Okay, this is also one of the important thing we have in the databases. System log, sometimes data dictionary. Okay, generally the system log will be recording all your entire transaction from starting point to final ending point. Okay, so log or journal, otherwise we call it as a journal, right? So the log keeps track of all the transaction operations that affect the values of database items. So in the databases, whatever the transaction or whatever the thing you are doing in the databases, everything will be recorded in the log file or in the journal file. Okay, so here log file recording and updation in the log file and journal file is also very, very important, right? So if the transaction is not properly updating the status of its transaction in the log file or the journal file, then it cannot proceed with the transaction, right? The transaction will not happen even if it doesn't record, update each and every stages in the transaction properly in the log file. Okay, see, this log file is mainly used for recovery purpose. Generally, it is used for the recovery purpose, and the log or journal file will be stored in the hard disk, right? So no need of worrying about deletion or removing of these files. Maybe this log file or journal file can be stored in any permanent storage, right? So there will be a backup also, right? So here the information may be needed to permit recovery from transaction failure. That is a key aspect of using the system log. and then the log is kept on disk, so it is not affected by any type of failure except for disk or catastrophic failures. Okay, so in addition, the log is periodically backed up to archival storage to guard against such catastrophic failures. So how you can suppose if you're storing all the log file in the hard disk, suppose if anything happens with your hard disk, if hard disk crashes or if any other natural calamities happens, then definitely there is a chance for hard disk failure also, right? So how we can avoid this hard disk failure? So we can obviously you can go for backup. Okay, so the backup in the same place or backup in the remote servers. Now in the practical usage, and nowadays what the mostly all the transaction, all the log files, everything is having backup. Okay, so all the companies, all the who are using mostly this type of transaction related databases, they'll be having backup in multiple places. Okay, so there is no need to worry about the log file, right? So log file will be maintained. Even the database data also will be maintained in multiple places. So now what is the content available in the log file or in the journal file? So whenever there is a transaction starts in the databases, there will be unique transaction ID will be generated. Okay, so you know what in by ID? Yeah, unique ID transaction ID will be generated for each and every transaction. For example, currently if you are having about 100 transactions are going on, and for all the 100 transactions, you'll be having your unique transaction ID. And the other data types of log records. So maybe asked in 2 more questions. What are the types of log records are there? So you can say start transaction comma T. So when the transaction got started, okay. And then write item T, X old value and new value. So even at the time of writing, the transaction ID, and then what is the data item X, and what is the old value of the data item, and what is the new value of the data item. That will be recorded in the log file. And then next to this read item T and X. So only what is the data item X, the transaction ID T, and then how it is getting the value, that is reading the value, right? And then commit, whether the particular transaction got commit, right? So T is a transaction ID, commit is it says the particular transaction has completed its work successfully, right? And then suppose if any transaction got aborted or failed, then it is going to say abort and then transaction ID, right? So these are the main things will be recorded in the databases or the log file or in the journal file. So how you can recover, we said the main idea of using the transaction, that's log file, is for recovery purpose. Maybe when you look at the particular transaction status in the log file, the recovery process can be easily done. Okay, so which particular point a transaction got stuck or stopped, from that we can apply the recovery mechanism, right? So maybe you can apply some redo or undo operations. And the final one is we have a commit point. Okay, commit point of a transaction. So 2 more questions. A transaction T reaches its commit point when all its operations that access the database have been executed successfully, right? So if the transaction do some modifications and updations, right, reading and writing, everything is got completed, and when it reaches the commit point, then it's said to be the transaction is going to be completed 100%, right? So beyond the commit point, the transaction is said to be committed. So once it reaches the commit point and the commit point is executed and the transaction is 100% done. That means whatever the data is modified by the transaction will be modified permanently in the databases. Okay. Then rollback of transaction. Suppose if the transaction is not committed fully, then from which particular state or which particular stage the particular transaction is there, from that you can go for rollbacking. Or otherwise, if a particular transaction is not fully committed, then you can apply rollback. That is needed for transaction that have a start in the transaction, but entry into the log, but no commit entry. Okay. So log file, when you see the log file, a transaction T or a transaction ID with a particular transaction ID, a transaction would have started, and the same transaction must be completed, right? So if the particular transaction is not reaches the commit point, then it should be set to be rolled back. Okay, able to understand? Then, so redoing the transaction, it is all recovery concepts. So we have less than 1 minute, maybe if we complete, and then we'll rejoin in the next classes. So force writing log, these are the two conditions are there. Redoing the transaction if it is aborted. Force writing log, suppose if a transaction to be forcefully completed or finished, then a log will be written accordingly.
Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.